Master of Self. I'm Keon Brown. Thank you for watching. I got my boy B here, Brandon. Thank you for being here. Excited to have you. Every time we're together, we're having conversations amongst friends, and we're just talking about things that we're, working through in our lives. It might occur to you that these are challenges in our lives or things we're struggling with, but peep the language that we use and how we're, working through things in our lives together. And so what are you working through, Brandon? But we talk about this before we start, so I'm just not jumping in here on him like that. But we had a great conversation, quick, but poignant. What are you working through in this season?
Man, I'm working through navigating, learning this reality, and for myself, growing up from Alabama, small town, and so that came with a lot of programming, institution. They're telling you what A, B, and C is, and they're giving you what reality is for you. And so a lot of the work I've been doing lately is just undoing and relearning life for myself. A lot of things I keep and some things I throw away. As we know, America didn't tell us the truth about everything. So anything.
That part.
So man, I'm taking myself through a series of unlearning and relearning.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Another word I use is deprogramming.
I'm deprogramming.
And I honestly think that in some of the work that I'm doing in the academic realm, that's what's necessary, to specifically our people to level the playing field, because I don't need anybody to do anything more for me. I need to have space to deprogram and start fresh. With all the tools and information that would have me make choices based on facts and based on not lies or not things that you're feeding us,
because it puts you more in control of yourself.
Correct.
So that's been my process, man. And so part of my journey was just learning history. So I grew up and realized I don't know where I'm from. And so I just started with that. Like, okay, let me look into, I know we come from Africa, but they never told us what part of Africa. They also never told us what we sounded like, what our language was. And so that led me into just studying African culture. And then that led me into studying more religion and mythology. And now we're here.
Okay.
Because the mythology is basically that journey of life and how to get to the deprogramming and the reprogramming.
So the first thing that you would share with people from your findings that people should know.
That you don't know. That's a great place to start though, because we think we know so much and we have not given ourselves time to see that there's a lot of things we don't really know for ourselves. We only know it because someone told us.
And we believe in what everybody to say. Because they look a certain way or they have a position or a title or a matter of wealth or.
And then also what helped me, because I grew up religious. So, my foundation is belief. And I was along my journey, I switched it from believing to knowing. And either I know something or I don't know. And it's okay. And it's a very powerful place to be in if your answer is, I don't know.
Believing versus knowing. Focusing more on knowing what you don't know and then finding out and operating into what you do know. That's powerful.
It's a belief is, it's a powerful tool, but it also can fall in line to the wrong area where you're placing the belief in an area of something that you should know, but the belief is thinking you know something but not having proof. So you're believing that what you think is right, but you haven't validated it for yourself yet.
Now you're rocking a lot of people's worlds right now. This is making people rethink and question everything.
You should, but not with fear. And that's something that I started with. Like when I started learning that, oh man, some of the things that I was taught was a lie, panic came over. And then now I became that person that needed to go preach to everyone. like, wake up, you know, they lied to us. It does not work that way, you know. Yeah. That is not how you share information
effectively.
Yeah. Because A, everyone's on a different journey. And B, you have to understand for yourself what you are beginning to understand before you project it anywhere else. And what I'm learning is you don't have to go and shout it out if you just become it. Wow. So the process of trying to get someone else to see your point of view is almost like running away from getting yourself to have the point of view, or manifesting it first and then allowing people to see it and then come to you to ask questions about what they see, versus you going to them, telling them what they should see.
Yeah. That's like, be the change you want to see.
Exactly.
I love that. So I just interpret that. And what I heard you say was, instead of screaming your belief or what you think or what you know,
right,
be it, represent it,
right,
and then people will ask more.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. So you have some crystals.
I do.
Can you talk about some of that and why you choose that and what it means to you?
So, okay. You know, these crystals all carry energy and frequency, same way we do. And this I have on a Ankh dream catcher. Natalie got this for me for my birthday. Shout out to Natalie.
What up, Natalie?
It has turquoise inside, and then it has clear quartz and carnelian. And to be honest with you, and then also I have labradorite and citrine. Labradorite is a stone for intuition, getting in touch with your imagination, your higher self. And I'm a creative thinker, and so, you know, this is probably one of my favorite stones, along with my moonstone. But I really like the Ankh because it represents not only, you know, the culture we come from, ancient Africa, but it's also a dream catcher. And I'm a dreamer, and not just like dreaming to create things here, but our dream world is a universe that we have not began to really dive into yet. Damn, I feel like I started another topic, but I didn't want to do that.
I think that's important because some people don't dream.
They don't dream, yeah.
And so what do you think is holding, what has held you back from dreaming in the past?
Stress and worry about the day, to where you can't rest and fully sleep, to then get into that type of deep sleep or REM sleep that you're supposed to be in, to then to dream. A lot of people don't get to that place because they can't rest. And that state of rest is because we go to bed holding on to so much weight. And part of that journey of deprogramming is learning how to let that weight go, because it's not yours, not real. So that's been helpful. And along the way, I've learned about different herbs that you can take that specifically help for dreams, that are not hallucinogenic, you know, all natural. And I've been reading, man, that and this is coming from me right now because I can't prove it or validate it, but there's a thought that this world is an extension of your dream world.
Wow.
And so we've seen it from the perspective of, this is the real world, and we go to sleep, we have thoughts about what we've seen here, when maybe, because everything starts from within and comes without, we have this quantum world that we're in when our bodies are shut down, that we exist in, that time doesn't exist. We can fly, we can go wherever we want to go, and that's our real homeland. And then we take information from this space and then maybe take it there. I don't know, vice versa. Yeah. But just even opening my mind to even think about that, because I was not able to do that before.
They would call that witchcraft. They would call that something beyond, and it's outside of.
When all you're doing is exploring a deeper part of your own mind. Yeah. Which is interesting. How do you stop somebody from doing that? It's like, how do you stop a child from daydreaming? I used to daydream in class all the time.
What did they do to you?
They call my mama.
Okay. They punish you. They shift the energy. They put you by yourself. They isolate you.
Mm-hmm.
They bully you. These are talking about the adults right now. You know what I'm saying? They're embarrassing you. All the things that are going to shift you out of what you felt was very natural. You know what I'm saying? Before we get away from it, I want to talk about some of the herbs that you've heard help with sleep and REM and going deep.
Well, we all know about chamomile tea.
Chamomile.
Chamomile is good. Peppermint tea. What I'm learning is that we do a lot of things with one single thing. Like we'll have a single fruit, or we'll have a single herb tea, and not bring a collection of things together. Okay. So I'm learning how to create, I guess you would call it orchestra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A concoction, a little tonic.
Yeah. Because it's like a family has to come together to like make this thing operate effectively. Sure. So you take chamomile, peppermint, and mugwort. Mugwort.
Okay.
That's specifically for your dreams.
Mug, M-U-G?
M-U-G-W-O-R-T.
Water.
Mugwort tea.
Mugwort tea.
Mugwort.
Woo, I needed that.
Yeah.
Okay, mugwort.
You can smoke it. You can drink it.
Okay,
it's not. It's not. How would you say?
No, I'm just thinking smoking some mugwort. I'm out here, got the mug, yo.
Yeah, you know what? You won't
that
get
mugwort.
Right.
That mugwort.
It's all natural. You won't get high, but it helps you tap into memory or dream recall or being able to vividly be there in your dream.
Okay.
So yeah, that's been a good one.
What's your night regimen?
If I allow myself to stay consistent with it, I think it's important for you to wind down. A lot of times we either we don't go to bed, we just fall asleep. Yeah. We don't prep for it.
Or pass out because you're so damn tired.
Right.
I'm there.
Right.
Overnight, all that kind of stuff, man.
Right.
Not healthy.
Right. So studying history, I learned about in one of the Egyptian temples, there's this what they call the Hall of Mayat. It's where you get in the justice system when you see the lady with the wings and the scales. In Africa, that was Mayat, and in each hand she had a feather in one hand and a heart in the other. And so basically, you're taking yourself into court to be judged for, what's on the scale. And basically, if your heart is heavier than the feather, then you're being judged and being sent to hell, basically. Yeah. Or that's basically saying if you're going to bed with a heavy heart, you're sending yourself into a state of hell for yourself because you're in this perpetual cycle of heaviness. Yeah. And so if it's lighter than a feather, then you've ascended past that. Wow. But this is all internal work that you have to do for yourself before you go to bed, or on a daily basis, or just whenever you're doing internal work for yourself, where basically you're the judge, you're the jury, you're the plaintiff, and you're the defendant. So you know what you've done. You know what has affected you. You know what you are heavy about. You know what you feel guilty about. The only person that can judge you, they say God can judge you. Only God can judge you, but God is that internal thing inside of you. So you have to initiate the whole process. So you take yourself to court and you give yourself a ruling, and I'm sure you will let yourself fall free, give yourself some grace, but not without, really analyzing what happened so it doesn't happen again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I think that's important. The acknowledgement, and I don't feel convicted, but that did very enlightening in that moment. I had a bulb to kind of go off when you said that. I had a bulb when you go off. A bulb went off when you said that. Forgiving yourself. Mm-hmm. Natalie actually talked about this when she was here, about how those who are in your life you may have hurt, or things that you have caused. Mm-hmm. She had a mantra, and I can't remember in this moment, was so powerful. It was a mantra that you say to yourself.
It's a Ponopono, I believe. Yeah. I'm sorry please forgive me. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. And that's something you can repeat to yourself. And if you do it for 10 minutes, man, it is very powerful, because in that moment you start to think about not only all the people that you may have hurt, but now you're thinking about all the people that may have hurt you. And so as you're saying you're sorry to all the people you hurt, you're also forgiving the people that hurt you. And so you're creating a full-on state of gratefulness and peace for yourself and for wherever areas you might have had some negative tension. And goes back to the accountability, because we put the responsibility of other people to make us feel better. And nobody can ever do that, because nobody actually ever made us feel bad. We chose to feel bad based off of how we perceive what someone else's actions were. So man, this journey is really teaching me about how to like really be accountable for everything and see everything from the perspective of everything is a reflection of myself. That's what shadow work is. Yeah. Where we're all light walking through this world. And so we're all reflecting parts of ourselves to each other. Like my shadow work in this moment is being present with you and seeing, what am I learning about myself right now through experiencing you? Because we're showing each other something about either something that's great in us or something that we might need to see to address, you know what I mean, for later. And it connects you to everybody, because then now you see that you're all one, you're connected to everything. So if you look at everyone as a part of yourself, now you really treat others as you would you, not how you want to be treated. Treat everyone as if they're you.
That's intense, bro. That's intense. I mean, I'm hearing leadership distinctions and because I love that's what I look at, being responsible for everything, being accountable for everything. People don't understand that. They don't want that,
right?
Because then they say, "Well, it's not my fault. I didn't do it."
Right?
It's like, no, you didn't in theory, right. But if you interact with the moment as if it were you,
right?
What is there to glean from the moment? And what's the decision next? What are you going to do with that information? It's not a judgment.
Right.
It's almost an acknowledgement. It's not, accountability doesn't have to be judgment. I think
it doesn't. Right.
We come from a place of cancel culture. We come from a place of all, whatever it is, you did this. And so you get to do this. Nah, I can't mess with you because you did X, Y, and Z, as opposed to other options could be to sit with where you are with the moment, figure out what that looks like.
Because if you experienced it for a reason. It has something to do with you. So even taking out the context, you did this or I didn't do this or vice versa. Why did I experience this?
That's a different question. Come on. I'm hearing these leadership statements. I got these mentees now and I'm like, what? In this moment, it's like you're asking the wrong question. It's not. It
creates a totally different battle. Yeah. Where you're fighting against someone who is just reflecting maybe your shadow. Or you might be more aware of their shadow that they're not aware of. So instead of fighting the shadow, let's talk about what this is. Because it's clearly a moment of something that didn't get addressed before. And now it's made its way back. And that's an opportunity. Something loves us so much that brought us together to reveal that, hey, these are two beautiful souls right now. But I want you guys to experience life even higher. But we can't right now because there's a thing still attached to so-and-so from like when they were 6. They don't know how to let it go. But this is the perfect moment for them to experience someone who's aware enough to notice that it's there, to then talk about it, to dissolve it. Because trauma is memory imprinted in our DNA that then wakes itself back up when our external experiences reminds us of past moments.
Trigger.
When
we're triggered. That's when the
yeah.
trauma basically remixes and comes back.
And we take triggers as offenses when trigger is a moment to go, oh, you're still sensitive about something.
A trigger is like an alert.
It's
like an awareness. It's like
for yourself, not for the other person. Yeah.
This is a powerful distinction in leadership that it's very ever present for me right now. It's very big in my brain right now. Just taking responsibility, being accountable for every moment, as a leader, wherever you are, leadership is in everything. Taking responsibility for every moment that you're in allows you to see things from a very level playing field.
Right.
It gives you an opportunity to see both sides, all sides.
Right.
And then it gives you an opportunity to lead people as opposed to being reactionary. Because if you're thinking about who did it and why,
right,
you're reacting. But if you say, if I was responsible in this moment for it all, what should I do?
Right.
An assessment or a reflection where the leader gives a little bit more detail about what just happened. And so that's kind of the shit I'm on right now, to create those moments for young people.
Right.
Clearly we're going through right now too.
Right.
I'm inspired and enlightened in this moment. But yeah, all these years, I don't know how old you are, but all
34.
these years, 40? 34. Okay, bet. So all these years that we have and all the experiences that we had, we think about, we flatten it for a teenager.
Right.
I go and talk for 60 minutes at a college and they're like, I just never heard this stuff ever in my life. I'm like, wow.
Right.
It took me almost 40 years to come up to experience these things, pain, suffering, trauma.
Right.
And then I say it in a 60-minute masterclass.
Right.
And your life has changed.
Right. I just saved you 20 years of confusion.
Yeah. Man, this is very powerful. This is very powerful.
Yeah, that's one of the tools I'm using in my cartoon to like illustrate how to understand triggered moments, because we don't understand when people are suffering mentally. And that's something that has been heavy on me lately. Like, because when you find out that you've been reactive to someone who was suffering through like some mental crisis in that moment, it makes you feel different. Like, damn, maybe I should have been a little bit more empathetic, even though it came off like they had been being an asshole, but they were demented or tormented at the time. And maybe a hug would have been better, even though, you're not pushed to give a hug in a moment when somebody's lashing out at you. But that again goes to that accountability and that power. When you know something isn't about you in that moment, it's more about them, then you have better tools to then solve it.
Yeah. That's I'm almost emotional in this moment because I'm dealing with a situation even right now where, I think, have you been in spaces where you and your friend, your colleague, your partner, your colleague, or whoever you're in a relationship with are in different spaces in that time, in that season? And it's like, and it's like, there's nothing here but space. For me, empty space. And I think the tendency is want to fill the space, but then when there's a divide, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily supportive of anything other than emptiness.
Yeah.
And what you just said about being more gracious or being more empathetic or things that, how you handle certain scenarios, it only comes from experience. It only comes from, things that you've acquired and the pain that you've experienced. For you to say,
a lot of times to learn this. Yeah.
Because even as you said it, I was like, I could have been more empathetic. But then my brain, I'm like, nah. Sometimes you need a ice pick. Sometimes you got to just rip the Band-Aid. Sometimes you got to say, actually, this is the pain that I'm going to have to experience, and I need to get over it. I'm going to have to, I get to move past it, move over the mountain. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to try to skip to Malou. It's going to be, we're going to face this. We're going to force it. We're going to like push it, and we're just going to deal with it.
Right.
It's painful. I'll be okay. And then on the other side of the mountain, I can have another conversation. But right now I got a mountain to face, and I got to go ahead and just handle it. And that might mean that I don't get to talk to you.
Right.
That might mean that you're not in my life for a season.
That's the part that we're afraid of.
Why?
Because we have expectations, and we're afraid that if this next moment doesn't add up to my expectation, I might not have a moment again. And the fear of losing something. And as simple as that message is that our moms gave us, like, let that bird fly, and if she come back or he come back, or whoever the person is, if they come back, then they were meant to be. And that's so hard in the moment to accept. Yeah. But that's something that I've experienced a couple of times of having to give space. But in that space, it gave me time to recalibrate and see myself as myself before this experience, because we lose ourselves to where we forget who we were before we got connected somewhere else. And sometimes we need that separation. But synchronicity is real, because going through that same experience, I'm doing research, and I find this mythology about Tammuz. I don't know if you've heard of him, but it's kind of the equivalent to the Jesus figure. Okay. But in his story, he's foretelling his death, and he's dying at the behest of his lover, because she's trapped in the underworld. And the underworld in mythology is when you're trapped deep in yourself, in your subconscious. And he didn't properly mourn her. And I wouldn't have understood that if I read that 5 years ago. But being in a relationship where both you and your partner are now having to undo generational trauma, yeah. If nobody teaches you what that looks like, sometimes you're not going to properly respond to it. Yeah. And what I learned from that story with that mourning is accepting. Like, there was a time that I was unavailable, and Natalie was unaware of that. There was a time where she was unavailable because she was going through something internally. And if I not knowing how to mourn and go, man, let me cry for you because you're in that abyss right now, we get insecure or angry or frustrated, not because they're away, but because while they're dealing with the work, the projections are coming back and we're fighting the demons, but it's really just our demons too. You know what I mean? And so we're looking for that person to come back versus mourning that they're already gone somewhere else for a season. And maybe that love will, help them on that journey into that shadow world to bring them back. But what I've learned is, man, that insecure energy or anger or aggressiveness, it amplifies it or makes the situation worse. And man, I've learned my most powerful lessons, and I'm able to articulate because of how many times I died trying to figure out life. Yeah. But
this is very powerful. Even in just how we relate to one another and how we try to stay. And even as you were saying, when someone's out in the abyss or they are gone, properly mourning and properly allowing them to go. Yeah. And not looking to control the moment. And I found myself in that very recently, experiencing a deep shift and seeing someone leave, and then not chasing and not putting up a fight, and saying, okay. Yeah. So even if you don't return, I get to be with that and get to see what that looks like. And I need to just stay present in the moment and figure out what it is for me and not worry about if, when, why. It's like a distraction to actually where I'm supposed to be.
Which is present. Yeah. Because we think all of our present moments are supposed to be with everybody. And not every moment will be that way. Sometimes your present might be by yourself. Yeah. I don't know if we fear that or not. Maybe we do. But man, I not being able to accept when somebody is in that space, oh man, that was me. And you're trying to fight for them and trying to be the hero, man, you really become the villain. That's what happened to Batman and Dark Knight. He let all those people get killed because he didn't want to take his mask off. He didn't tell the truth, or he didn't accept the reality of what was going on. And he didn't see that he was looking at his shadow. Him and the Joker were the same person. They're both affected by the same trauma. Joker, his turned into him wanting to deconstruct the whole system that created the trauma by, in a very raw way, making people aware of it. Batman's approach to trying to dismantle or avenge his trauma is to fight off the bad people who might be participating in it, but at the same time not revealing yourself. Neither one of them could reveal themselves. They both had a mask on, and that's why the Joker kept telling him that this all will go away if you just take off the mask. And he was so stubborn into doing that his lover died. Broke his heart. Yeah, man. And what I learned in school as an actor, you see a lot of times we wouldn't want to play the villain. Like, I don't want to play, he's a scumbag. He does all this bad shit. He doesn't like people. And then my professor, man, he's such a guru. He told me one time, he hit me. He was like, how can you can't play this role until you fully fall in love with this person. And I was confused. I'm 18 at the time, but it's confusing. Like, how can you be in love with the villain? And it's because he's not a villain. He's a hero who got wounded. He's Simba hanging out with Timon and Pumbaa. He's Scar, Mufasa's brother. Like, Scar's not a bad person. It's like, you clearly see something happened to him. Yeah. And so check on what happened to him before you just deem what his life experience took him to and judging that, because that same thing that he's suffering from, you're suffering from it too. But your demon just doesn't look exactly like his, but it's going to show up exactly like, well, not exactly like his, but in another way. So it's almost like a foretelling of, this is what you look like if you do not heal from your trauma. You're going to look like this disaster of a bad person, or this villain, or this person who wants to hurt people. And so when I saw that thing about Tammuz and his difficulty with mourning Inanna, who was his goddess, and they both represent fertility, love, and war, which is interesting. I'm just opening myself up to information, right? And then there's a mass shooting in Memphis on September the 7th, which is 9/7, from a guy named Ezekiel. Wow. And then I saw a friend, she made a post of somebody, and it was a Bible verse, and it was Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 7. And it said, go and kill without pity. Wow. And then verse in chapter 8, God is going into the temple, and it said it saw a group of women, and they were mourning Tammuz. Go, oh, why are they mourning Tammuz? Because he died as well. Remember, he died because he couldn't mourn his love. But now what happens when you're so hurt because your mom or your partner or your best friend is gone to the abyss, and you're affected so much to where you have become a problem within yourself? And now, what does that demented person do? He becomes the Joker. And this guy in Memphis, what did he do? I'm sure his killing spree, was the root of that seed was a very, very dark pain, where he wasn't able to mourn when someone affected him. Yeah. Maybe his mother, you know what I mean? Because to be able to take the life of a mother or a child, that means
you got to be in a dark space.
Deep. And Memphis is the capital of Egypt. In ancient times, I think it's one of the oldest cities, and it's the gateway. It's like, this is where you enter the world, you know what I mean, back in the day. And their territory during that time expanded to Palestine, Israel, and parts of India. Mm-hmm. So when they're talking about the children of Israel and they're in the temple and they're mourning Tammuz, they're in Memphis. And this is where the killing happened in Memphis. It's they have this saying, as above, so below. There's nothing new under the sun. Like, we're going through repeated cycles of collective consciously seeing symbols to wake us up to see a bigger message, that collectively there's an inner child in us that needs to heal from his broken mother's pain. Wow. I have to heal my mom's pain. She's holding on to generations of women who didn't have a voice, and generations of watching men die in front of her, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so coming out of that, we have to heal from that, because if we don't, then that darkness then takes over us, and now we become the person who has no pity. That's what I took from just seeing that.
Man, I think that, first of all, thank you for all of that. Taking so much from this moment. What I'm left with is that my inner child gets to heal from trauma
yes.
from generations before.
Yeah.
And because of who I'm called to be,
mm-hmm.
I cannot get to where I need to be until that happens.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily know how to do that, but I know that that's the journey that I get to, you know.
So that inner child work, that was a beautiful part of my healing. And so part of that is remembering what you used to love to do when you were a kid and just doing it. Just for fun, just to wake him or her back up. Whoever that person is, wake that child back up. Just give them that candy again. Whatever that thing is that they like to do that you have taken away from them, like, we don't like to do this anymore. Do it. If it's building a fort, you take your grown behind outside and you build a fort. If it's, you know,
I can't have dairy no more though.
Okay. You know what?
Can it be sugar-free, dairy-free?
It can be
candy?
Sugar-free. And then tell yourself it's full of sugar. You know what I mean? But yeah, just opening that up. And then what helped me, man, like paying attention when you're around your family and you see your nieces and nephews, or you're at the park and you see kids and how pure they are. We've got programmed to look at kids as lesser humans than adults. Like, we're better than you because we're taller, we're smarter, when they might be more wise than we are because they're more in tune with
the present.
Yeah.
Without the clouds of,
right. So having the perspective to allowing a child to be somewhat of a teacher for you is a powerful tool, because we're guiding each other. I'm helping you learn what to look out for when you reach where I am. You're helping me to get back into what I've forgotten about. And so we're here for each other. Like, I don't own you and you're not below me. Like, you are the extension of me. And so you're the future. And so
and the present and the future.
Right. So I'm actually here to serve you.
That is a distinction in itself.
Yeah.
We're here to serve.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I want to leave it there, because I'm high right now. I appreciate you for sharing. This is like some extraordinary stuff. I did not know that we were going to go here, and I'm very grateful.
Same here, man.
Very, very grateful.
Thank you.
So y'all, thank y'all for watching. Really excited to see how y'all are liking the podcast. I want you to check out Purple Banter. It's got a lot of other great content and great people who are doing great things, telling great stories. If you want to support this program, please let us know. Just send us a DM. We would love to partner with you to spread our message. And we're just on a journey to really be the best that we can be.
Yeah.
And I think it's better that we do it together.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
because the perspectives are so much different. So if we're in it together,
community.
Yeah. And it beats us a richer experience if we are in community.
Exactly.
So we'll see you next time as we continue this journey to be master of self. Take care.
Peace.